Hello, welcome back to the Barrett channel today for a brand new walk and talk video with the Barretts. We are on Hainan Island, which is just off the south of mainland China, and we're at a beach which I'm finding it hard to walk. Let's move up a bit.
yeah, it's a bit slippy there, isn't it?
We're at a beach just off the Hilton Resort where we are staying for this couple of days. And we're going to be coming at you with a walk and talk about
coronavirus. We get a lot of people in our comments section sort of seeing us traveling around, walking around China not wearing a mask, and they kind of can't quite understand why that is when like they're stuck in countries where coronavirus is kind of raging through the population. And you know, even though it's sort of reported in you know, a lot of social media and the mainstream media that coronavirus has been brought under control here in China, many people don't seem to believe that. And I sort of want to explore the reasons why. I mean, it has definitely been brought under control here. They have small outbreaks. When they have small outbreaks, a whole machine sort of goes into operation, and we've recently seen this coming to Hainan. About 7 days ago, we were in Shanghai, and there was a small outbreak in the...
Well, they found one case.
Yeah, they found one case in the Pudong area. That's an area of Shanghai. And we had to go through a lot more kind of procedures, you know, both getting on the plane and when we arrived here in Hainan. Because on our sort of track and trace app, it will show you where you've been in the last 14 days. And Shanghai was showing up as red. So straight away that sort of sets alarm bells ringing. There's a lot more checks that have to be done. But I wanted to really explore the reason why you think that China has done so well, and many Western countries have really handled it quite poorly. Now I would suggest that it's a lot of it is down to the government and how serious they take it, you know. And one example of this I'll cite is that sort of after the first wave had hit the UK, even before it had sort of been eradicated out of, I nearly fell over then, that was a big wave. Even before it had been eradicated from the sort of the general population, the government launched a scheme to get people back into restaurants and pubs and things like that. And in my mind, that was very, very stupid because, you know, coronavirus was still in the general population, yet they were encouraging people to go and meet in social situations in close proximity. But Oliver has a kind of different thinking on why the Western countries are not doing so well. And he feels even if the government did the same as they do here in China, it still wouldn't work as well. And I'd be interested to hear that.
They went through a lockdown initially quite late, and at that time, that was probably the most serious people were taking it as would ever be taken in the UK. And then they eased off a bit, and then they've gone for a second lockdown now. And I think that has just, I personally think that's not going to make any difference whether they do a lockdown or not anymore, because it's already in the heads of people that it's not a big deal. Because a lot of almost everyone now that I've spoken to in the UK knows somebody who's had it, and you know, as we know by the statistics, the vast majority of people just, they don't get that ill. But it only takes one instance, maybe it's an old person or somebody's grandma, who they will get extremely ill and it could even be fatal. And I think if somebody in their life in most Western countries has somebody that they know and love who has a really bad case, only then will it really change the opinion.
Hang on a minute, we just got to stop here because there's a guy with here and are we all right? Okay. Right, so we just had a little bit of an issue. There was a guy fishing there and there was a line. We didn't want it to get caught in the drone or our camera, so Just what's happening. So let me ask you, Oliver. So do you think, like in the UK, people have lost trust and faith in the government to be able to deal with it?
100%. And I don't even think, because there's always been so much conflicting information, because rather than just being safe, everything has been politicized, so that it's more like, do you want to agree with the government or not? It's like science is blown out the window at this point. It's like, do you want to support what the government are saying or not? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, see, I think as well, that's like here. People have so much faith in their government. And that's not just coronavirus, that is kind of a lot of the government policies here is people put a lot of trust in the government here. So when this pandemic come along, everybody here trusted that the government were giving them the correct information to sort of keep themselves safe. So they just followed it without even questioning it.
Well, I mean, the big difference there is that it was one goal and these are the instructions. There wasn't, you know, 1 week it's this and then 1 week it's the opposite. It was
a unified message.
Yeah, a unified message, yeah. And that just was never the case in the UK. And now, even now, right, they're in lockdown. Every day I'm seeing social media posts from my friends in England, together, mingling, having like house parties and things like this. Like, and it's funny that, well, it's not funny, but it's strange. Like when I talk to Chinese people about it and say this to them, they're just like, they just cannot believe it. They're like, what? Don't they care about their family? Don't they care about their community or you know, their country? And to be honest, I don't really know what to say in return. I'm like, well, I guess not.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because here it's much more of a do-good for the collective society, whereas in the West it's more an individualistic sort of point of view. And I think, you know, I still think the government have a lot to answer for. Like if you look at the track and trace system in the UK, it's pretty much been a failure. It's just not working. You know, there's some reports that suggest it's only picking up kind of 50% of the people it needs to. And again, I think that's an issue. But it seems to me now, I mean, we'll start to wrap this up, but it seems to me that a lot of these Western countries now are sort of putting all their eggs in the basket that there's going to be a vaccine soon. And that's what's going to bring an end to it rather than any other measures they're doing, because it seems as though the kind of, to an extent, the government and the people have kind of given up on trying to stop the spread in society without a vaccine.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is taking it in a bit of a different turn, but just something we were talking about earlier. I do think there is an argument to be made. Come this way a bit.
Yeah.
I do think there is an argument to be made about giving people lockdowns isn't always the best measure. I mean, it might be in China, but it might be different in another country. And that is because the vast majority of people in the UK and a lot of Western countries where you can get everything on credit, people live paycheck to paycheck. Like most people can't survive a month without a paycheck. And therefore, and being in debt, if you've ever been in debt, you'll know that is one of the, like, that can put you in a really, really bad place. So people who can't work, people who are forced not to be able to work, not to be able to socialize, especially if they live on their own, it can put people in a really bad way, and you might get knock-on effects of that later down the line. And we're actually seeing that. I've seen graphs in America and stuff, like suicide rate, drug use rate, child abuse, all of these things are rocketing when people are put into lockdown.
Yeah.
So there's an argument to be made that there's a dichotomy between locking down and being able to let the economy carry on.
But I would argue there, Ollie, that if you look at when China did a lockdown, it was a proper lockdown.
Right.
You know, whereas in the West, it never was. And that was really down to a lot of people not wanting to stick to those rules. Oh, it's a lockdown, but I still want to go to the beach.
Yeah,
So
but that's sorry, go on.
So actually, by them doing that, they caused the lockdown to fail.
And
so they got a second wave, and they've got to go into lockdown. And that really hurts the economy. Because whereas China, they locked down for what, 70-something days. At the end of that, pretty much now China is 99% of back to how it was. But they're never going to achieve that in the UK.
Yeah, well, that's precisely my point. Like, because the people's mindsets is so different, they are never, ever, under no circumstances of lockdowns or whatever, are going to achieve what China achieved. So it almost makes the point of doing it pointless. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not saying I have a right answer, and that's what it is. It's all guesswork, really. No one has the right answer. I think in the UK now, it's pretty much just do the thing that will have the best public response.
Well, I think it's more about now keeping it so the NHS can deal with the amount of cases they're getting rather than being overwhelmed. Anyway, we'd like to know your thoughts on all this. So put your thoughts, suggestions down in the comments. It's a very interesting discussion that I think will go on for a long, long time. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up to get it out there. If you like the channel in general, hit that subscribe button. You can always become a member by clicking the join button down there. That will help support the channel for us to bring you content like this. But for now, as always, take care.